Hey there, I'm Tony Glynn and welcome along to the PGG Wrightson Stud Tour. Now this week we're up in the Bay of Islands, we're at Pai here. We're going to head about 5 minutes down the road there to John and Joss Bailey's property at Waitangi Angus Stud. They've got a yearling sale on there today. We've got a few visitors over here behind me, they might be looking for a bit of prime steak. See you soon. We've got a coastal property here of about 800 hectares, just over 800 hectares. Some of it's flat, but the back part of the farm, it's not massive hills, but it's relatively steep clay country. We run our cattle and sheep operation there. We're running about 400 breeding cows and lambing just under 2,000 ewes and finishing and other stock as well.
Where did the stud start out, John?
Well, my father was involved in the stud business. He had Angus, Herefords and Shorthorns and sheep studs down at Wanganui. And when Joss and I moved up here 25 years ago, we were busy farming the place, and then the opportunity came to sort of bring a nucleus of my father's Angus cows up here, which we did. And the stud just trickled along. It was in the mid-90s when we bought them up, and we sort of got things going. We had got our annual sale process going and things like that. But it was sort of getting to the stage we either had to get bigger or decide what we were going to do really. And then the opportunity came to buy the Lovell herd, the Lovell family herd from Raurewa at Whangarei. And Greg Lovell rang and sort of said, would we like to buy the herd? And we sort of thought, well, it's too good an opportunity not to. And that was in the end of 2004, and we bought the cows, the complete herd from there up to here. And really that's when we formed the Waitangi herd. My father's herd was Kaiiwi Angus, and we formed the Waitangi herd in 2005.
Oh, good, thanks, Tony.
Keep it busy.
I think so.
Fairly good looking cows and calves here, Joss. What's the story here?
Yeah, this is our last of our cows to calve. They're a mixed age group of cows. Probably won't be AI in them, so a bull will go out with them in the next couple of days and start all over again, and hopefully have another calf this time next year.
Yeah. And a fairly busy morning, AIing a few heifers there?
Yes, yeah, no, it is a busy time of the year now, but yeah, it's got to be done.
No second chances for these girls?
No, we're very, very, very tough on them. Fertility and structural soundness is number one in our book, and plus temperament, of course. But they've got to produce a good calf and produce one every year from the age of 2. Otherwise, they're gone. That's end of story. There's no second chances. And I think that's definitely the way to go.
It's the time of the year where we're really sort of getting our breeding program underway. We've done all our lambing and docking and got all that's done. And what we're doing now is really just starting up our breeding program, which is based around a lot of AI work, sires that I've found in the States. I've been over there and had a look around, and a few New Zealand bred sires. And we use the AI program because we believe that we can make a sort of a quantum leap with genetics. It is very expensive, but we've had good results with it, and satisfactory results. We'd like to do better. But we think what we're achieving is quite significant, and giving us access to top genetics to put into the herd. So we're busy getting our AI program underway, which involves seeding the cows. The cows have got to come through the yards a number of times to get the process done, and then we follow up with bulls later on. We do synchronise them, but we put K-Mars on them, which are little plastic things that when the heifer shows she's bulling, it actually rubs and shows up red, and that indicates she's been ridden. And so therefore she's ready to be mated. So that actually process goes over 3 or 4 days, and we select them and mate them or inseminate them as they come into season. And we find that works pretty well. With the cows, because they've got calves at foot, we tend to go more for the synchronised fixed time mating.
So you were saying, John, over to America, sourcing genetics from over there?
Yes, I've been to both America and Australia recently. I usually go to America every year. I think there's a lot to offer from America. A lot of beef farmers in New Zealand have this thing about American genetics that came in the early days, and some of it, it was served a purpose, but it probably wasn't what we really wanted in New Zealand. I like to go over there and see the bulls I'm using. There's a wide diversity of cattle there. Some of them farmed under very hard conditions, even by Southland standards. You know, you see lots of cattle with ears missing because they've been frozen off in the winters. It's you know, some of them are reared in very harsh conditions. The reason I go there is there's a long history of carcass data, and all the stuff goes through the plants there, and they actually analyse it and they can feed it back into the American Angus Association, which is a great basis for actually establishing what is actually happening in the breed. And some of the sires that have come out of the States, you know, they've got phenomenal records. They're internationally accepted as having excellent carcass data. And we've just tried to catch on that and use that data that as it comes through and the information to put into our herd. It is hard to find what we want in New Zealand, very difficult in fact. Because it's very difficult to find a package that fits all together. Breeding by numbers doesn't work. You get yourself into trouble real quick when you start single selection for certain traits. You've actually got to have a package, and that's part of the art of breeding good cattle, is having that genotype or phenotype right and matching it with a genotype, and that's really is the key to it all.
Do you find it harder with using AI?
No, I think again you go to a place like this, the States, and there's a big selection of bulls, and you can eliminate a lot because just structurally they're just not good enough for New Zealand conditions. And but there's a lot of cattle there, and there's certain lines of cattle that come through that seem to be pretty consistent. A bull would be, for instance, Future Direction. You know, he's done a lot for New Zealand genetics and getting the carcass lifted up and going like that. And we've used him quite a lot in the past, and sons of his and things, so forth. The intramuscular fat is what sells prime cuts of steak. Anybody in the world who wants to pay good money for cattle, the marbling or the intramuscular fat is what's important. And okay, we're not getting paid for it in New Zealand, but I believe, and have for a number of years, that that's where we've got to go. It's there to be had. Why not put it into our cattle now? With our yearling bulls, so we're really trying to specialise in a breeding an animal that can be bred to any heifer and calve successfully. But the key to all that is actually not only having a small calf that can get up and get going, is that it actually has the genetic capacity to grow on and grow into something of some use with good carcass qualities. And that animal is very hard to find that will breed that. And we believe we've had some success in finding a couple of bulls that have bred very well for us, and Midian Focus would be one. And he's great little calves. They jump out like peas in a pod, and they grow, you know, and got extremely good carcass data, and it shows in the scanning as it comes through. You don't know the genetics of the heifers, right, and the bull's only half the thing. So what we're trying to do is give them some certainty that at least the bulls can do their part and produce a good calf for them. The guys that come into our heifer sale are beef farmers generally, and they're looking to be able to breed their heifers, you know, and be able to sleep at night without having to worry about it. And we think that's a very important part of it. So we've gone into this market, and it's a growing market, and there's more and more guys in these bigger block stations and things like that who see really economics say that you've got to do it, and they're starting to do that. But the key is to actually have heifers that can calve without getting damaged, and will go on and breed continuously. So you know, it's just economics of farming, quite frankly, and it's something that most farmers are going to need to do. I think it's very hard to justify keeping a heifer till she's a 3-year-old to breed before you get a calf out of her.
Trevor Johnson from Paparata Station. Whereabouts is Paparata, Trevor?
Yes, Tony, nice to see you again.
Yeah.
After your visit to us down there. Yes, we're located west of Taranui on a property called Paparata Station. It's 5,000 hectares and 50,000 stock units. We're up here today looking for bulls to mate with our yearling heifers.
Yeah. Now, were you way to come for you too to buy bulls?
Yes, I searched the top half of the North Island looking for a good product, and that's why we're here today. John Bailey here has, I think, got a very good product. It's in the last few years we've had trouble feeding our young cattle as well as we would have liked because of the climate and droughts. We've had some trouble with calving our heifers as 2-year-olds, so we're up here looking for sires for those yearling heifers.
Yeah. Now you obviously found a few that you liked today. You got a few to take home, Trevor.
Yes, we bought half a dozen. We mate about 400 yearling heifers a year, and in the last year or two we've had to carve one or two, and these bulls that I've bought today have been particularly identified as being suitable to mate with yearling heifers, and so that's why we are here. Most of them have low birth weights, and so that's what I've been targeting.
Yeah. And some very good breeding coming through there in the catalogue today too, Trevor.
Yes, I think the bulls have been very well grown and well presented, and I congratulate the Baileys for their effort here. It's my first time here, and I'm impressed.
We usually put up about 60 odd bulls in our yearling sale, and the same number in our 2-year-old sale. Generally, in the past, there's been no crossover between the two, but as I said, we're starting to get more and more people from our 2-year-old sale starting to come to our yearling sale, thinking that they're going to get into breeding heifers and looking for bulls to do that. And they can carry them on and use them in their herd later on as well.
Have you always had the sale here on farm?
Yes, we have. I think we're up to about our 12th sale now. We're actually a relatively new herd under the new Waitangi herd name. For a number of years now, and we're slowly getting a larger and larger client base, and more than half our bulls go south of the Harbour Bridge to all sorts of country, Taranaki, Taihape, Gisborne. So yeah, we've got a wide spread of where they're going, and we're getting good feedback, and hopefully that's going to continue to improve.
Looking good, the yearling sales with a lot more people calving heifers now?
Yeah, there certainly is, an increasing number of people moving to calving heifers. I think the economics of it just make that a necessity in this day and age, and you can do it very successfully, and I know a number of people have moved into it and doing it very successfully, and wondering why they didn't do it earlier. You've got to use the right genetics though, that's the key.
Grant Rea, farming up here in Northland. What's the area we're in here, Grant?
Well, we're actually 11 k's east of Kawakawa,
Kawakawa.
but we're classed as in the Bay of Islands.
And you're milking a few cows here?
Yeah, we milk 550 Frisian,
Yeah.
Holstein cows, mainly because we want a dual purpose cow, and because we run a beef finishing operation as well.
Some good looking heifers over behind us. What are they, Grant?
They're rising 2-year-olds. The Angus ones came from John Bailey's bulls, and they're over our cows. I just like the cattle and the temperament and everything.
You're not just buying bulls just to get the dairy cows and calf?
No, I'm looking as an animal that we can finish and carry through, and I try and pick bulls on low birth weight and good growth. And today, when you're reading through the catalogues, well, it's all in front of you.
So what have you got a cut-off weight there for the heifers?
Well, I like to have the yearling R1 years by mating over 280 kilos live weight. And I know there's some out there who are probably mated at only 230, 240.
So getting some fairly good weights here, Grant?
Well, we wean at 95 kilos. We try and give them a good start, and the milk comes out of the vat.
Handy.
And from there we just run them in mobs of about 100, and all the bull calves we steer. With the huge drop off in beef cow numbers, there's huge potential for a lot of the beef calves to come from the dairy industry. Especially with the Frisian Holstein crosses. And but there's so many people who've never taken any advantage of it.
John, a lot of work with the eye, but you've still got to follow up there?
Yes, you do. We actually use a lot of our own yearling bulls as follow-up. If sons of the bulls that we've used from the imported semen, and we follow up with them. We'll also go out and I selectively try and buy bulls in New Zealand, that's for sure. And It's actually very difficult to find a bull that meets the criteria of what we're trying to do with good carcass data, and obviously it shows it and demonstrates it in itself phenotypically. So what it looks like, with good structure, good fertility, and good growth rates, and as I say, what we're trying to do is get that mature cow weight down, so there's a good balance in the figures there, as represented in the EBVs here. The cattle up here got to survive, everybody thinks it's sunny tropics, but we have our moments. We get plenty of frosts here in the winter. The kikuyu is not the best in the world, and we're quite confident the bulls can shift after coming off here. We're basically very few improved grasses. The bulls have got to do it on their own. It's all grass fed. We don't grow any crops. The bulls, they get a bit of haylage just before the sale, and so they're doing it. The bulls that are represented in our sale have done it all themselves. There's no artificial cropping or anything like that goes on. So we're quite confident that they will shift and move on to any country, anywhere in the country.
Bruce Orr, National Genetics Manager for PGG Wrightson. It's good to see you again, Bruce.
Likewise, Tony. Good to see you and Sarah,
Yeah.
as always.
Now we're just catching up with the team there at Waitangi Angus, and great sale there for the yearlings.
It was, yes. It's one of my favourite places. It's a lovely property, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful, yeah.
Good stud masters. They like their stock and good stock. So it's a great combination, Tony.
Yeah.
Great place to sell at.
Now you were running the hammer there at the sale. How did it all go?
Well, I think it went pretty well. There's always a fine line between having a very, very good sale for our vendor, but having values that purchasers are comfortable with as well.
Northland, Bruce, you've had a lot to do up there. Do you think people think it's a long way away?
It is. It's a mental barrier for a lot of people in North Island, to go through Auckland and north of Auckland, Tony. But that sadly is a misconception, because there's very, very good genetics, particularly of all breeds in Northland. The bulls up there represent very, very good value for the money.
Now the upcoming crop of 2-year-olds looking great there. You'll be looking forward to banging them away.
I will. It's 6 or 7 months, but the yearlings this year look particularly good, and they were the ones I sold, bearing in mind they were bred towards heifer mating, but the ones for the July sale looked a very, very good line of potential size.
Joss getting a fair bit of work done there too. She gets right amongst it.
She certainly does. Jocelyn is a very, very accomplished stockman. Very accomplished. She does all the sheep work, Tony, and she has a very, very astute eye for cattle, and it's very, very pleasing that her and I often see the same thing in cattle. We think in tandem. In fact, the ward tour 3 years ago, we had a special female sale. Jocelyn and I selected the capital stock heifers. John did the records, Jocelyn and I, but she's very accomplished. Yeah.
Your family's been here for a long time, Joss, and your father did a lot of work breaking this country in.
Yeah, he did. My grandfather came up in about 1928, but he was an elderly man when he came up, and so wasn't here for that many years and hadn't done much to the farm at all. And then Dad took over the farm, and he was a real workaholic, and he basically broke in all of what you see today. He bought a D6 bulldozer, and he was actually the first person in New Zealand to privately own a D6 bulldozer. But he worked very, very hard and very, very long, but unfortunately he passed away at quite an early age, and then so John and I took over. So I'm the third generation here.
And you've got 3 sons, is that right?
Yes, 3 sons.
What are the boys up to?
Oh, Philip's back here helping us, and Tom, our middle son, he's working for Elders Livestock, and William is down at Otago University there, and he's just about finishing his degree. And what he does in the next few years, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Ewes and lambs are looking well too, and you'll be well above that 100% these days.
Yeah, we did just over 150 this year. It was a good year. We didn't have any storms during lambing, and the ewes were in good conditions when they were tupped. And we're usually somewhere between 145 and 150. So yeah, they're a good flock of ewes.
So Joss, the scanning, how long have you been in that program?
Oh, we've probably been doing it for about 10 years now. Bill and Judy Austin do all our scanning for us, and I actually think they do just about all of New Zealand's scanning.
Pretty famous.
Yes, they are, and they do a great job, and so they've seen all sorts of cattle, and it's really interesting when they come through the yards and you see on screen the marbling of some of these animals, and it's fantastic to actually see it. And Bill has been, he can actually identify quite a few sires just by looking at his screen.
So you love breeding the cattle, Joss, but you've also got another love with the horses.
Yes, they're a passion of mine, have been ever since I could remember. I used to show jump, but when I got into the selling horses, there was always a bigger opening selling eventers out in New Zealand than show jumpers. So I had a very good stallion, and he was show jumping, but we changed to eventing, and he was extremely good at it. We took him to England, and he competed at, his first 4-star was at Badminton, where he was 15th, and then we went to Burleigh, and he was 7th there as an 8-year-old, which is just about unheard of a horse being that young competing at that level.
Yeah.
And then we sold him, and he went to Canada. But I used him before he went, and I'm now breeding from 3 of his mares. And he was a horse that I bred from my top show jumping mare. She was great. Every time I went out and competed on her, I never came home empty-handed, and she then went on to be a fabulous brood mare and produced a lot of good horses. So it's a great line to have.
Think your father would be fairly pleased with the job you've done here, Joss?
Well, I hope so. I think he would be very pleased with how we've carried on the farm. We've certainly. I know the first year John and I came up, Dad had never cracked 100% lambing, and in our first year we did it, and he was absolutely delighted. And he was always a very positive person, and as he said, you only learn by your mistakes, so he allowed us to do that, and I think he would be pretty pleased with the way the farm is going, and he would love the stud.
Yeah.
He would.
Are you finding benefits from all the good marketing going out on the background there with the Angus breed?
Yes, certainly. I think it's been great what's been developed, and I think there's a lot more to come yet. I think really the key for it all is to get into an export market, and it maybe just a supermarket chain that's quite happy to push the Angus New Zealand grass-fed button. And I believe there's openings. In fact, I was recently talking to a guy from the States who has a high-quality business selling gourmet foods, and he was very interested in following an angle up like that, and hopefully something like that may come, because I think that is where the future lies. We don't have big enough volumes to do whole countries. We actually got to find niches where we can send this high quality product, and it's got to be high quality. It's got to have plenty of marbling, and look good and everything else. And people are certainly prepared to pay for that, but you've got to find it, and you've got to be able to supply it.
For more information on the PGG Wrightson Stud Tour, visit ruraltv.co.nz and come and join us on Facebook.